UFC 312 is this weekend, and I'm going to go ahead and glance over a couple of storylines before I talk about the co-main and the main event for the championships. And the first thing I do want to talk about is there are 5 undefeated fighters on UFC 312. Now, the last time we saw that happen was literally the last pay-per-view, 311, and they all lost. We're going to see how that's going to pan out in this one. Hopefully, it's not the same result. I mean, Umar, Peyton all lost. Can Tatiana lose? Colby, Thick, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I ain't going to try to. Apparently, he's fighting Ilya's brother, who's making his debut in the UFC at 5'11". There was a lot of shit online talking about how this is a DEI hire or whatever the case is. I think it's very, very well known that he got in because of his brother, just the same way like Pereira was shot up because of his rivalry with Izzy. Storylines create money. They create fights. Obviously matchups do too. But why? It's like the same reason CM Punk got a huge deal to join, even though he had 0 experience. Just keep that in mind. This is a business at the end of the day. So of course he's going to get a chance, but he's thrown into the fire against Colby. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but we have a little bit of a storyline. Colby, apparently he is Volkanovski's training partner, or goes to the same gym down in Australia. I don't know exactly the location, but the case is Volk's going to be in his corner. And of course, Ilya is going to be in his brother's corner. So that's a little like ironic, funny that they're both going to be cornering their teammates and I guess his blood brother. And the fact that the rivalry still continues post just their first fight. And I know that they're probably going to fight again coming up. Rumors to be in Miami. We'll see how that pans out, because someone put out that Islam was going to fight Ilya, and I don't see that happening either right out the gate yet. Either way, I figured I would cover those 2 storylines, the undefeated fighters, the ironic, funny rivalry between Alex and Ilya in their gym. We'll see how it goes. Ilya is obviously one up on him. Getting to the media day, embedded press conference, there was a lot to unpack. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I've been pretty sick, throwing up, not really feeling very well. So I haven't been able to make as much content as I wanted to lately. Obviously, the Bryce Mitchell shit, I know why cover it like singularly when everyone knows and understands the situation. Then Sean Strickland not like doubles down on Bryce's comments. He doesn't say that, but he goes on like more of an unhinged Sean Strickland rant than he normally ever has. And then pulls up like stuff about 9/11 and Hamzat and Chechen dictators or warlords, a whole fucking slew of things at media day and the presser. He also has his own moment about Hamzat. But then we also see dude has the nastiest staph infection on his fucking arm. I hope that it's not going to hinder him, and I don't know if he committed to antibiotics because somebody asked him online and he said he's not. We'll see. Obviously, staph is not fun. It's not good to go through, especially going into a fight. And most of the fighters that end up having it don't really pan out very well. It's not the greatest. I mean, Merab just figured it out and he had the nastiest, like, open cut on his leg, not to mention staph. A lot of different shit. So let's just see how this is going to affect Sean Strickland, because I personally think he won the first fight and I'm excited. I've been asking for this rematch for a long time, and now we finally get it. But is Sean finally going to be in the moment and be hindered with staph? It don't matter. People are not going to remember that. They're going to win. They're going to remember the wins and the losses and how he actually did against DDP after talking all this shit of, oh, I won the first one, the scorecard, judges, blah, 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 blah. People want to see you win and show up. It's not about how you got there. It's about the fucking result. And most of the time, that's what happens. Whether you went through all of this trauma, like a Merab in his camp, or he cut his leg open and he still wasn't even healed before he accepted the fight against Umar. The fact that it closed on the week of the fight, those are the type of motherfuckers that just do it. They just live it. This is another level I'm not saying Sean Strickland is going through the same fucking deal that Marat was going through. When you're given this opportunity like Sean Strickland, there's no way to just pass on it. You're not going to get this opportunity again. So he's got to go in there fighting with that staph infection. Now, talking about this co-main event, we got Zhang Weili and Tatiana Suarez. This is going to be one of the greatest women's strawweight bouts that we've ever seen. This is a changing of the guard. Now, I don't want to sound controversial. I believe that this should just be straight facts and reality. Obviously, women's sports didn't start when men's sports started. Obviously. Now, I had no control over that, but that's the facts. And that's the same with women's MMA. Women's MMA, they're kind of a little behind in progression, but that's because of where they started in the time that it started. So we're starting to see the progress of women's MMA, where now these specialists are now taking over and going to be able to dominate. It's like, this is the era of like 15, 20 years ago where you have those specialists dominating. And now everyone is so well versed in the game that it takes that time and those generations to build and people to learn and progress. And obviously they're going to come along a lot quicker than the men's did because of the blueprint put ahead of them for them to learn and get better. But that progression still has to happen. I mean, we've seen it with just about every other women's sports, in my opinion. Same with WNBA. I mean, the skill level just rises and rises and rises. That's just with any sport. Over time, they're just going to be able to get better and better and better. And we love to see it, because I'm not in the proponent of seeing a bad fight. And it has nothing to do whether you're a woman, has nothing to do with you're a man. I really don't give a fuck. But as long as it's competitive, I'm actually entertained, not something that's completely boring. Again, doesn't matter who you are, then that's what I'm going to tune in on. And these women's bouts are getting better and better and better. I'm not the number one fan of women's MMA, but you can't lie. They've just been getting better. Now, Weili has been in Thailand, been working on her striking. How is that going to play a part in this? Is she going to be able to keep her distance? Is she going to be able to knock out a Tatiana Suarez, who we do know her biggest goal is to get you down and ground and pound? This is going to be a very, very great matchup, because matchups make fights. Styles make fights. This is going to be a great wrestler versus striker bout. And if Zhang Weili can get through this, then what happens to Tatiana? Tatiana's got to start building her way back up. Now, whether she's going to be a real contender and be able to raise the bar is another question. Can she stay healthy? Can she stay active? Can she defend it if she wins it? There's a lot of questions here with Tatiana. We all love to see her fight. She's a very, very good, talented fighter. But can she get to the octagon? I think that's mainly what her coaches, I think she said in the press conference, was just got to get to the fight. Like, you just got to get there, because we know that you are one of the best in the world. But can you get to the fight? Because you work your ass off. You go through a lot of injuries, I'm sure. I mean, that's how the sport is. The sport is gladiators. It's a fucking war in the training room, I'm sure. But being able to get to the bright lights is obviously the biggest goal in this whole business, because that's where you make your money. Can this be Tatiana's era? We're about to find here this weekend. Like, I know that this part a lot of people find controversial, but I think Sean Strickland won the first fight. Personal opinion. It's how I saw it. I even watched it back. I even scored every round. I even broke it down. Was like, hey, this time, I really liked what DDP did here. I really watched this fight all over again. And Sean won the first two. DDP won the third and the fourth. And Sean Strickland finished out the bout. That's how I saw it. Now, whether you scored it completely different, that's fine. I'm not here to convince you otherwise. This is the one that shuts all of us up. If a fan of Sean Strickland, and he goes out there and gets knocked out, what can I say? There's nothing I can say about that other than respect to DDP for shutting people like me up, because I still think Sean Strickland won the first fight. The judges gave it to DDP. It is what it is. The eyeball test, the numbers, everything like that tells me Sean Strickland won from my point of view. Obviously, it doesn't mean I'm right. DDP going into this has a calm, cool collectiveness, like a confidence about him. And he did mention that going into the fight with Sean Strickland, that's his first title bout. That's very much understandable. Bright lights, big stage, very fast rise for DDP. It was just a great time for him to climb these rankings with how the champion or how the top 5 was going. So him now getting that opportunity, beating a Sean Strickland, beating an Izzy, now defending it again against Sean Strickland. As a champion, they say you get 15-20% better. Did he get way better than Sean Strickland did? We're about to find out, and that happens this weekend. Now, a lot of people want to talk trash about Sean Strickland, jabs, teeps, whatever the case is, bro. That's fine. Now, I understand. You go ahead and you watch these clips of Sean Strickland talking about, I want to go to war, and he's beating the fuck out of all these like training partners in the gym. You got to realize those are probably nobodies versus a top ranked 185er in the world. Of course he's going to be defensive. Of course he's not going to go all out, be crazy and throw fucking anything. I mean, you could be absolutely stopped with one shot. Go ask Alex Pereira what he did to him. I mean, why would you want to get hit in a game of chess trying to not get hit? That doesn't make sense to me. And anyone complaining about how Sean Strickland fights, they need to just use their fucking brain or have some common sense, or common sense isn't that common. I really don't know what to tell you, but it might be the same people that didn't like a Floyd Mayweather because of how defensive he was. I'm not comparing the two. I'm just talking about the defensive fighting that they both show. And for as much shit that Sean Strickland talks, everyone wants to see this dude get knocked out. I don't blame you. I really do not blame you, but just understand there's a reason. There's a method to the madness of a Sean Strickland. There's a reason he fights that way. And it's so difficult to hit him. Now, I did hear some, not rumors, I guess you should say, but like from training partners and interviews and all that stuff, the best way to get to him is hit him right here in the chest, because then you can follow up, because you're not going to get off this, it's a lot bigger of a target than your head, and it's perfectly in line. There's only so much you could do to get off that center line. Hitting him right in the chest is the best way to stay on him. That's what I've gathered from interviews. Now look, I might be a Sean Strickland fan. I might be rooting for him to go get his belt back, but that don't mean I don't like DDP. That don't mean that he hasn't shown how great of a champion he could go on a crazy run here, and not many people believed in that, and including myself, to be honest with you. But that's how the sport goes. I mean, we all like our different fighters and we all have our reasons. And I really, really love the story of how Sean Strickland rose to be this champion and defeat Israel Adesanya. And to me, I don't think he lost that opportunity and lost that belt. So this is really going to show us a lot, whether DDP can continue this run, go against Khamzat next, go against Imavov or whomever is next in line. Obviously, it should be Khamzat, in my opinion. But dude, if Imavov got the jump over Khamzat, I think fucking MMA, Twitter media, everyone would shit a brick. Okay, that's just personal opinion. I think everyone would go crazy. Khamzat is next. Whoever wins this, in my opinion, and we're about to find out. Sean Strickland, if he loses this, could go face Imavov again. Who really knows? Or Robert Whittaker. I mean, there's some options out there. DDP, we already know he wins this. He's facing Khamzat. So I'll see y'all later. Let me know what you think of who's going to win. I'm not saying Sean's winning this, but he didn't lose the first one. I do think that that's interesting. I do think that there is an opportunity for him to leave Sydney again as champion. So I'll talk to y'all later.